everyone, and welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Gabrielle and I'm a senior in high school. Today I have a very special tutorial for you guys, which was requested from one of my past videos, which is the Harry Styles cardigan, but for a cat. So I know a lot of you guys are cat lovers. If you're making this project, let's get started. So for this tutorial, you're going to want a 4.5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle, a pair of scissors. Also, you will need 5 buttons and yarn colors of your choice. I'm using a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and black. So this is the brand that I'm using and all of the details. It is a size 4 weight and the recommended size hook is 5mm, but I like my stitches to be a little bit tighter. All of these are the same brand, just with their different colors that I could find. Also, you'll probably want about this much yarn of each color at least. I have this much, but I've already actually made the squares that I need with this color, and this is what's left. Let's start making these squares. For this tutorial, we're going to want 3 squares in each color, and then 3 squares with this pattern. So I have only 2 of each of these because I'm going to make the last ones when I show you how to make the squares. So we're going to have 18 squares in total. If you're using less colors than me or whatever, you just need to divide 18 by the number of colors that you have to figure out how many squares of each color to make. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and make our plain squares. These are basically 10 half double crochet stitches and 7 rows up. So I will show you how I make them. So you're going to make the same thing repeated in red, orange, yellow, and green. So what you're going to do is make a slip knot. To make a slip knot, wrap the yarn around your fingers like this, and then make a cross where your thumb is. Then you're just going to insert your hook through that loop that you made, and then grab the yarn end and just pull it through. Once you have it pulled through, you can pinch where your hook is and pinch the 2 yarn ends coming out the bottom, and then just pull. And then you can tighten it to your hook by pulling the 2 ends. Once you have your slip knot on your hook, we're going to chain 10. So go around the front to the back, and then turn your hook down as you pull the yarn through. So that is 1 chain. Repeat that until you have 11 chains. When you have 11 chains, we're going to make 10 half double crochets. So our first one's going to be in the second chain from the hook. So to do a half double crochet, yarn over, and then you're going to insert your hook, skip that one, and go right into the second one, like so. Then yarn over and pull underneath through that loop. Then you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over 1 more time, and you're going to turn your hook down as you pull through all 3 of those loops. And that is your first half double crochet. You're going to make 1 in each stitch all the way down. Again, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again, and pull through all 3 loops. I'll meet you at the end of the chain. Okay, so this is what my work looks like so far. For the next row, we're going to chain 1, so yarn over and pull through just once. And then we're going to turn our work to the left, like so. Now I have this tail that I'm going to weave in as I go. If that's too complicated for you, don't worry, you can weave that in later. So to weave it in as you go, fold it up the front, so like this. And then hold it along the top as you're making your stitches. So I'm just pinching it with my work. So now we're going to make a half double crochet into each stitch across. So yarn over and insert into your first stitch and fold this right there. So then as you yarn over, you're yarning over, and then yarn over and pull through all three. So this yarn just went right through the middle of that stitch. Do the same thing into the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through all three. Again, my little yarn is going through the stitch. So that is happening by just folding it along the top. So repeat that all the way down, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Make sure not to miss that last stitch there. To double check, count the V's along the top of your work and you should have 10 going all the way down. For the next row, chain 1, turn your work, and do the same thing again. So make 10 half double crochets along the top. You're going to repeat this until you have made 7 rows in total. So far we have done 2, and you can see because they kind of have texture. So we have 1, and the next one's kind of above it, and then this one's going to be underneath it a little bit. See how down, up, down. So 1, 2, 3. So repeat this until you have 7 rows total. It should look like this. So I have just made my 7 rows, and I'm going to show you how to end your square. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to pull up a little bit, and then we're going to remove our hook, and then with our scissors, we're just going to cut right through the middle of that loop that we made. And then you can take the yarn that's attached to your yarn ball and pull it out. And then with the rest, you can just pull it tight. And that is the end of our square. So repeat this until you have 3 of the orange, and then make 3 with the red, 3 with the yellow, 3 with the green, 3 with the blue. When you're finished with that, I'll meet you back and show you how to make the checkered kind of pattern one. The next square that we're going to make is a little bit more complicated, but I know that you guys can do it. So it involves changing colors, and if you've never done that before, this might take some trial and error, but I promise that you will get it. So let me just explain kind of what we do. So first we're going to make a chain with one of the colors. I kind of alternate. So this one I start with a chain of 10, or a chain of 11 with the black, and this one I start with a chain of 11 from the red. It really doesn't matter because we're going to end up sewing the squares together with black yarn, and this won't really be visible, so you don't have to worry. So then after we have our chain of 11, we're going to make 2 half double crochets with the red, and while we're in that red stitch, we're going to pull through our black yarn to switch to the black color, and we'll make 2 half double crochets with the black color, and while we're in the second one, we're going to pull up our red yarn so that we can make 2 with the red, and we just repeat 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then we pull up our black color. So when we start the next row, we have black, and then we put 2 reds on top of the blacks, 2 blacks on top of the reds. So yeah, you just kind of alternate, and then you make 7 rows of that. So let me show you what that looks like when you're working with our yarn. I'm going to start with my red color, and I'm going to make a slip knot. So wrap it around your fingers, make a cross, and then pull that yarn through and up. Then we're going to chain 11. Then we're going to make 1 half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So that is into this one. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. Then, and our second one is when we're going to attach our black color. We're going to yarn over and into our next stitch, insert our hook, and yarn over, pull through. But before we yarn over and pull through all 3, we're actually going to yarn over with our black. So I just fold my black yarn in half and just pinch. I don't tie a knot or anything. And I just put my hook underneath that half, and I just pull it through. And I hold these 2 pieces with my hands. So then we want to make 2 half double crochets with the black into the next 2, while also weaving in our other colors so that they don't show and that we can pull them up through whenever we need them. So yarn over and then insert your hook into the next chain. And then make sure that you're holding the pieces of your colors on top of your chain so that when you yarn over, you're weaving those in. And then yarn over and pull through all 3. Make 1 more half double crochet, and remember this is the one that we're going to stop in the middle and pull up our red. So yarn over and insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. But before you pull through all 3, we're going to let go of our black, and we're going to take our red color instead and yarn over with that and pull through all 3. It's kind of hard to see my black, I apologize. So then we're going to make 2 half double crochets with our red again. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain. Remember to weave in these ends as you go by just holding them along the top. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through all 3. The next one is the one we're going to bring up our black. So yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over and pull through. And then we're going to drop our red and we're going to take our long black color and pull through. And we're just going to keep repeating this. So 2 half double crochets with black, and the second one that we make is going to be the one where we pull up our red color. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and drop your black color, pick up your red, and pull that one through. So the last 2 chains of your work is going to be with the red stitches. And the last half double crochet, make sure to pull up that black color. And then we're going to chain 1 with our black and turn our work. Now remember to weave in both of these red ends as you make your next 2 half double crochets. So we're going to make 2 half double crochets with the black into the 2 red stitches. Hold your ends along the top of your work. And the second half double crochet, remember to drop your black and yarn over with your red. So you know when to use what color because you want to put the red stitches on top of your black, and you want to make black half double crochets into the red stitches. So that's how you know you're doing the right thing. And make sure to weave in your ends as you go. It's harder to see where the black stitches are, so maybe it would be easier if you use another lighter color if you're a beginner. So remember, in your second half double crochet, switch your color and continue along. Switch to red. Switch to black. And don't forget to make a half double crochet in the last stitch. Sometimes it's easy to miss. And in this stitch, remember to switch your color to red for the next row. So then chain 1 with your red, flip your work, and repeat. So 2 half double crochets with the red, and then switch to black. So you're gonna repeat the same thing for the next 7 rows. Until you have made 7 rows in total, then chain 1 and cut off your yarn, and I'll meet you guys back. So I finished my 7th row, and this is how we're going to end the square. So chain 1 with the color that you're using, pull up your yarn, cut with scissors, pull out, and then also with the black that's been woven through, you can cut that off, Then we're going to pull tight with our ending color and make a little knot with both. And there we go. So make sure to make 3 of these and add those to your square collection. And now we're ready to sew everything together. So to sew, make sure you have some black color handy and your sewing needle. Next, what we're going to do is lay out our squares, making sure that no 2 same colors are touching each other and that we are varying which way the rows are facing. This is just for my preference, but you can do whatever you'd like. So first we need our big chunky middle section. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take 1 of each of the square that we made and set them aside. Then with the remaining ones, we're going to organize them 4 by 3. So this is how I laid mine out, and I'm just going to go through and turn some vertically and turn some horizontally. And that looks good to me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew the sides here, here, and here together. And then we're going to do the same thing here, here, and here. And the same thing here, here, and here. And we'll have then 3 stripes, and then we're just going to sew the 3 stripes together. So let me show you how to do that. I'm taking my bottom 2 corner ones, and I'm making sure that they're facing right side up. I like this, the way that looks compared to this side. So I'm saying that this is like the way that I want to be facing the world. So I'm calling it the right side. And this is my right side for this one. And then I'm gonna put those 2 right sides together. So I'm just flipping it on top of the other one. And then we're going to sew along this corner. That way when we unfold it, we'll have it sewn right there. So again, fold it over to the left, then grab some of your yarn and cut off about arm's length, or honestly less, like from your hand to your elbow length of yarn, and thread your needle. So I'm gonna start on my top right corner and insert my needle into the corner of both squares and pull it through. And when I can see the tail, I'm going to stop and tie a knot. And then I'm just going to go through from the front side to the back. There's no specific place to put your yarn to stab your needle through. I just kind of go what like about a stitch away would be. And then I'm folding this end across so that I kind of sew it in as I go. So just keep moving along down the side. From the front of the square to the back side. You should be getting something that looks like that. Continue all the way down. And just make sure you get the absolute corners. And once you're in your last stitch, we're going to pull through, but not all the way. We're going to just pull until our loop gets kind of small. And then we're going to thread our needle through that loop. And just pull it through and pull it tight. And then we're going to do that one more time through the same 2 stitches that we just went through. Go through that loop that you make and pull it tight. And that's the knot. Then you can cut off this extra yarn. And you can unfold your piece. And then you should have like a little patchwork. So then we're going to go across again. And this time we're going to fold the blue on top of this color. And we're going to stitch down this side. Then we're going to unfold it, fold our yellow over, and stitch down this side, and unfold it. And I'll meet you guys back when you have this first strip made. Alright, so this is what my strip looks like. Now go ahead and repeat this process for the next strip. So folding over, sewing down, unfolding, flipping over, sewing down, unfolding, flipping over, sewing down, and unfolding until you have 3 strips, and I'll meet you guys back and show you how to sew the 3 strips together. Okay, so I have 3 strips made now. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold the bottom one over the top and sew all the way across here, and then unfold it, and then we'll fold this one over and sew all the way down that side and unfold it, and that's how we're going to sew these all together. You'll want to cut off a longer strip of yarn for this, probably arm's length. I'm already forgetting. Okay, so insert your needle all the way up in the corner. Tie your knot. And then before I do anything, I'm making sure that I get all of my tails of yarn out because I want to actually end up weaving them in across the top. So I want to make sure that I get them all in. Because who wants to weave in the ends later on? Nobody. It's easier to just weave them in as you go, and then when you finish your project, hardly having to do any of that, which is always nice. So we're just doing the same sewing technique all the way down, and as you can see, I'm kind of holding this thread across the top so that I sew over it. And then once you get to this, looks like we have 2 more ends to weave in. So just hold those across the top. And one of them just doesn't need to be that long, so we'll just cut it a little bit shorter. If you guys are finding this tutorial easy to follow, you might want to consider subscribing for other tutorials that I film. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm so excited to add you guys all to my subscriber chain when I get to 1,000 subscribers. Also, make sure to leave me a comment down below with any questions you guys have. I try to respond to each and every comment as soon as I can. Also, if any of you guys have any tips, you can leave those in the comments down below too, especially for any beginners who are trying to make this project. Alright, so now we're just going to unfold our work, kind of flatten that out, maybe do some little stretches, and it should lay flat. And then we're going to fold the top one over, attach our yarn and sew all the way down, and then unfold it. And I'll meet you guys back when you're there. So next we're going to be creating these sides for the sleeves. So you're going to take the 6 that you set aside, and you're going to look at what is on this side, and you're going to place those squares onto that side because we don't want them to touch. So we have a red over here, so we're going to put that one over on that side. We have a orange over here, so we're going to put that on that side. You got a yellow, okay, put that on that side. And then you should have the opposite side colors left for this side. Then just figure out how to arrange those so that when you lay them on your sweater, they alternate colors from what's kind of over in this direction. So then we're going to do that with the same thing with this side. So I'm going to put this in the middle, orange down here, and a yellow up here. So then we're just going to move this out of the way and focus on our 2 sleeves. And we're just going to connect them here, and then here and here. So then we'll have a strip of 3 and a strip of 3. So I'll show you with one of the sleeves how to do that. Cut off some yarn, thread your needle, then take your yellow and flip it over on top of your red. Tie a knot, and then sew along the top like we've been doing. And then of course into that last stitch, go ahead and make a knot and unfold. Then flip the orange onto the red and sew along here, tying my knots. And then sewing like we've been doing. And tie your knot and unfold. So that is one of the strips. Repeat the same thing with this strip, and then we'll have 2 strips. And I'll meet you back. Okay, so the next thing that we're making is the sleeves. So they're gonna look like this. I'm using my blue color. It's 4 rows of half double crochet, and it is 40 half double crochet stitches long. So go ahead and grab your blue and the same crochet hook, 4.5 millimeter. Make yourself a slip knot and chain 41. Once you have a chain of 41, then you're going to do half double crochets all the way down, starting in the second chain from the hook. So you should have 40 half double crochets in total, and I'll meet you guys when you're at the end of the chain. So when you're at the end of the row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then you can weave in this end as you go, but you're going to half double crochet into each stitch all the way down. And then when you get to the end of the row, you're just going to chain 1 and turn and repeat. And do this until you have 4 rows total. And I'll meet you guys back after you have 4 rows completed. Okay, so I just finished my 4 rows, and then I'm just going to fold it in half and chain 1, and then we're just going to single crochet the sides closed. So insert your hook through that, I don't know, like along this row, and then same thing with this side, right in the corner. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through, and then we'll have 2 loops on our hook where we will yarn over and pull through both of those. Then we're going to insert our hook where the next row is, and the same thing with the second side, and make another single crochet. And again, insert into like where the 3rd row is, and end the last corners. Then chain 1, pull up your yarn, and cut through the loop, how we normally end it. Then flip your work inside out. Then make yourself another one, and I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so now we're going to, this is probably the most complicated part of the whole project, so I will try my best to explain this. Since this is the upper half of our sweater, we're going to sew this on the top 2 squares, but also it's going to be attached to basically both of these things. And these are our right sides, so we're going to fold them together. And instead of sewing all the way down, we need a spot for our sleeve. So we're going to put our sleeve in here as well. And this is just my preference, but it's more stretchy on the part that is not where we chained, basically. So if you can find like that ridge where you create the chains, and make sure that that is facing to the right. And then also make sure that where we had our single crochet is in the middle and underneath. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna line this up with where we want to sew, right along the top 2. This is where our chains are, and then this is where our last half double crochet row that we made was. And then we're gonna fold this over on top of that. And this is what it looks like from the side. So basically how we're gonna sew this is we're gonna sew these 2 squares together, and then we're gonna split off and we're gonna sew the sleeve with the top part all the way down, and then we're gonna sew the other half of the sleeve with the bottom squares here. That way we'll have a hole for the little legs, and then we'll unfold it and we'll have like our little sleeve, and it will be like attached. Okay, so I'm going to cut off some of my black yarn to sew this on. So once again, line up the corners over here, and make sure when you pull your yarn through, you tie a knot. I'm going to weave in this green strand as I sew the side together. Also, I would love to clarify something for you in the comments. make sure to ask any questions that you have. I will definitely get back to you within a timely fashion. And if something was confusing to you and you figured it out, feel free to leave a comment about how, like, what that process was like for you in case somebody else is going through the same thing. Let's help each other out in the comments down below. Alright, so I'm at my last stitch of these 2 squares. Now I'm going to make sure this is all lined up. So I'm making sure that ridge that we sewed is like right where these 2 squares meet. So that's where that ridge is. And I'm gonna sew the bottom part together first. So I'm going through my first stitch in this second square, and then I'm just going to go through a stitch that looks like it's about in the middle. And when I say in the middle, I mean like in the middle right here. Yeah. Then line up this black to weave in, and just weave in only the bottom and this part. I hope this is making sense to you guys. Continue the same thing with the last square of this bottom row. And when you get to that last stitch, then we're going to start sewing the top together. So I'm just gonna turn my work like this because it's easier for me. And we're going to insert our needle into that other square and go into that same loop in the sleeve that we went through with the red, just so that we really connect the top. So that, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Just basically so that when you open it and unfold it, it's the red and the yellow are more connected. There's not space for the sleeve to be showing along the top. And then continue sewing just these 2 together all the way down. Okay, so I've basically gone all the way around, but I'm just going to make sure and make sure that every blue stitch is attached to something. See how there's a hole there? So I'm going to just keep sewing and closing up that hole. And then I'm going to tie a knot like we usually do. Going through the loop that we make 2 times and cutting off that end. So there we go, one of our little sleeve holes. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. So this is where my chains are on this side, so I'm gonna face those to the left. I'm going to make sure that where we single crocheted is in the middle. And I'm just going to lay it right on top of the right side along the top 2 squares. And then with this sleeve, I'm just going to fold it over on top of it and face it this way. And then I'm going to sew along here, then sew along the top, and then sew along the bottom. And I'll meet you guys back. Oh my gosh. And I'll meet you guys back. Okay, so congratulations on finishing your sleeves. You should be able to open it like so. And then we're going to add along the bottom some ribbing. So get your red and make a slip knot. You know how we always start. Then we're going to go ahead and attach our yarn to the corner. So I'm flipping my sweater upside down and we're gonna work over here in the corner. So we're gonna go ahead and insert our hook right into the corner and make a slip knot. So that means yarn over and pull through and through the loop that's on your hook. Then go ahead and chain 8. Then we're going to work with single crochets. So I'm turning my work to the side now. into each of those loops except for the first chain. So into the second chain, make a single crochet, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. Repeat that into the next chain and the remaining 5. You should have a total of 7 single crochets, and then we're going to attach this side to the bottom of our sweater. So to do that, we're going to slip stitch, and I did that where the second row of orange is, and then where the third row would be, I'm making another slip stitch. This is for the start of our next row. So we're going to turn our work, and then we're going to go ahead and skip the 2 single crochet stitches that we made and go into the third V. If you can't seem to locate that, then you can count 7 from this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then what we're going to do is in that 7th stitch, we're going to insert our hook only into that back loop. So if you look at the V, there's this front loop or the bottom loop, and the farthest one away from us is the back loop, and we're going to go right under that back loop. Then we're going to make a single crochet. So yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Then we're going to insert 1 single crochet into each back loop until we have made 7, which should be all the way across. So now that you're all the way across, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to single crochet in the back loops only for 7 single crochets. Okay, so now we have to attach again to this orange square. So where the next row would be, make a slip stitch, and then into where the next row would be, make another slip stitch to start the next row. Now turn your work and skip the 2 single crochet stitches and into that third V, or if you want to count from this direction, into the 7th back loop, make a single crochet. And we're going to be repeating this process until we have made it all the way across our sweater. I know it's a lot, but you can do it. Basically, when you're going away from the sweater, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work at the end. And when you're going towards the sweater, you're going to make 2 slip stitches and turn your work, if that helps. And then after you turn your work, you're just making 7 single crochets into the back loops. And I'll meet you guys back when you are all the way across your sweater. Okay, so after we finish the ribbing, this is what it should look like. Then we're going to make the collar. So make a slip knot, and then insert your hook into the corner, and slip stitch. So yarn over and pull through, and through the loop on your hook. Then chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet all the way along and across the top. There's not really any specific stitches to go into, so just try to make 1 half double crochet or possibly 2 in each row as you go across. Okay, so once you get to the end, chain 1 and turn your work. Then you're going to make a half double crochet decrease into the next 2 stitches. So yarn over, insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, and there should be 5. Then half double crochet as normal. Okay, so when you get to the end, you want to leave room for a button to fit through. So I'm actually going to make, but you want it to still be tight so the button stays on. So, okay, I could squeeze a button through there. So then you're going to chain the amount that you, so say, okay, I have 4 stitches left, so I'm going to chain 3. So chain 1 less than the stitches you have left. Then make 1 half double crochet into that end stitch. And that's going to be your little buttonhole. Amazing. Then chain 1 and turn your work. And then you're going to make 1 half double crochet into that first stitch that you made. And then you're going to make 3 half double crochets, or however many chains that you made, right into that circle. So not into any stitch, just in the circle. And then you're going to make half double crochets all the way along. Alright, when you get to the end, just chain 1, pull your yarn up, and cut it off. You can also add more rows if you want the color to be thicker. So the last thing that we're going to do is, with our blue yarn, we're going to add collars down the middle sides. And on the left, we're going to make some buttonholes available. So make a slip knot, and we're going to start with the easy side, which is the side without any buttonholes. And we're going to attach our yarn, not at the red, but at the yellow corner. And go ahead and make a slip knot. So yarn over and pull through, and then you can weave in your end if you'd like. So make 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way along. Some of these won't have actual stitches to go into, and that's okay. I'm sure you have gotten used to that by now. Just try to make about 10 half double crochets per square, and I'll meet you at the end. So I just wanted to show you guys that I am also making the blue go all the way down across the ribbing. So make sure that you extend your blue all the way down. So when you get to the end, chain 1 and turn, and then make 1 half double crochet into each stitch once again, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alright, when you get to the end, make sure you put a half double crochet in the last stitch, and chain 1, turn your work, and make a half double crochet row all the way down this side. And we're going to repeat this until we have made 5 rows in total. You can also try this on your cat and see how much more it needs in the belly area and add more or less rows. Okay, Mr. August. Oh, you're such a good kitty. Put your hand through here. Oh, how do you feel, Augie? You look so cute. Alright, now it is time to do the other side with the buttons. So we're basically going to add the buttonholes in the middle row, which will be the 3rd row. So we can basically do the same thing that we did for the first 2 rows and the last 2 rows, but I will show you what to do for the 3rd row as well. So let's start in the corner of our ribbing with a slip knot and then a slip stitch into the corner stitch. Then we're going to chain 1 and make half double crochets into each stitch all the way across, and end at the end of your top square. Do not go onto your collar unless that's the style you're going for. Alright, so next I'm just playing around with the buttons and like how many I want and where I want them to be placed. So I already know that I'm gonna have one here just for decoration. So I'll need one right there and right here. And so I'm just deciding if I want 3 or if I think 4 would be good. And I think I'm gonna do 4, I just think it's cuter. So I know that I need 4 holes, so I'm placing safety pins where I'd want the holes to be. So first we need a safety pin placed in the 3rd stitch from the left and the 3rd stitch from the right. 1, 2, 3. Then I don't know how to figure it out. So we have 31 stitches, and if we were to put 2 here, we'd have 1, 2, 3. So that's about 10 stitches in between each one. So I'm counting over 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're gonna have a different number of stitches than me. So what you have to do is you have to count how many stitches are in between each safety pin and divide it by 3 to figure out for your 2 buttons. If you only want 3 buttons, then just divide by 1, 2 to figure out how many. Or you can just fold it in half and see where the middle is, honestly. And there we go. Now we're going to actually start crocheting. So make sure that you have, make sure at the end of the row you have chained 1 and then turn your work. And then make a single crochet into the next stitch. And then with your safety pin, since my buttons are 3 stitches wide, I'm gonna skip the stitch before the safety pin, the stitch with the safety pin, and the stitch after the safety pin. So I'm going to chain 3 and skip those 3 stitches, and then to the 4th stitch, I'm going to make a half double crochet. So that should make a little buttonhole. So now we're going to half double crochet until we reach the next safety pin. Okay, so I need to make sure there's not a stitch there. Then chain 3. And remember, that's the stitch before the safety pin is open, the stitch with the safety pin, and the stitch after. And then half double crochet into the 4th stitch. There we go. Then half double crochet until you reach the stitch before the next safety pin. Okay, good. Now we're just going to chain 3 again and half double crochet into the 4th stitch. And half double crochet until you reach the next safety pin and chain 3 again and make 1 half double crochet. Amazing. Chain 1, turn your work. You can now remove all of your safety pins. Okay, now we're going to make 1 half double crochet into the stitch that we made. Then make 3 half double crochets, or however many chains that you made, into that gap, and then half double crochet along the rest of your half double crochets until you reach the next gap. So I'm now making 3 half double crochets into this gap, and half double crocheting to the next gap. 3 more half double crochets and half double crochet along the other half double crochets. Now make 3 half double crochets into your gap and make 1 half double crochet into that last half double crochet. Chain 1, turn your work, and this is the easiest row. 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way across, and I'll meet you guys at the end. Alright, so I'm at the end of the row. Chain 1 and cut off your work for the last time. And there is your little sweater. So let's go ahead and weave in all of our ends. I have most of them woven in already, but we have some that are still poking out. So I'm going to show you guys how I weave in my ends. Feel free to do it whatever way that you would like. So first, I'm going to start off with the inside of this sweater. There's a few different ways to weave in your ends. For this one, I'm just going to go through the ridge like so and pull it through and then pull it tight. And I think that's enough for me. And looks like we have a little black thread. So for these ones, super simple. I'm just going to go right underneath each black little line here. And then I'm just gonna pull my needle through and pull tight. So that's how I weave in my black threads. And the final way I weave in my ends is going under each V of each stitch and then I just pull it through and pull it tight. So repeat that with all of your ends, and I'll meet you guys back for sewing on the buttons. So I just realized that these buttons go through here really easily, and I don't think that they would stay on very well. So I'm gonna use a smaller sized hook and line the inside with some black. I think it'll look cooler, and it will also make the holes a little bit smaller. If I make this again, I would do blue instead. I think it would look better, so that the buttons will stay on better. This is optional. Obviously, if your holes are the perfect size for your buttons, definitely keep them as is. Don't worry about it. But in case you're in the same boat as me, just slip stitch your hook. This is the right side out so that the stitches will look pretty. And just make some single crochets around the hole. Preferably less single crochets than there are every hole, just so that it makes it smaller, kind of like decreasing, like skipping a few stitches, if that makes any sense. I do realize that it's harder to tell what I'm doing because I'm using black, so I apologize for that. But I'm basically just making single crochets around the circle and skipping a few stitches. And then slip stitch to the first stitch that you made, chain one, and cut it off. Then I'm gonna try putting a button through, and it's harder to put through, but it definitely slides through pretty easy. So like it won't come undone on its own, but trying to put a button on works perfect. So I say that that is a success, and I'm gonna repeat that with the rest of my buttonholes. All right, so I finished up the holes. I don't know how I feel about how they're looking. If I make this again, I would do blue instead. I think it would look better. Anyways, next I placed my safety pins where my buttons will go. So next I cut off strings, as you can see they're right here. One of each color, and I'm going to sew the button on with the differing colors. So I'm starting with blue for my bottom button, and then I'm just going to undo where my button was going to be and then thread up through that stitch. So again, I placed my safety pins exactly the same as how I placed them over here. And then I hope this will fit. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. Okay, so then go up through one of the holes in your button. Okay, maybe it won't fit. So once you're done, then you're going to go through the top to the bottom side, and I'm going through the diagonal hole if I can. This is a struggle for me. Yeah. Okay. Then I'm threading it back onto my normal needle, and I'm going at the same spot through the stitch. And there's one. Then I'm going to go up through an empty hole and in the last empty hole, and then I'll just, well, right now I'll tie a knot, and then I'll tie another knot and weave in my ends. And I'll meet you guys back when you've finished all of your buttons. Thank you all for watching this tutorial. I hope it was easy to follow, and I hope it fits your cat. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and I'll see you guys in the next video.